For centuries, the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea whispered tales of a formidable power, not an empire of land, but of the waves, a thalassocracy, whose golden ships plied the richest trade routes on earth, binding continents with silk, spices, and spirit. This was Srivijaya. Who were these glorious victors? How did they forge such a vast dominion, without ever truly conquering it? What secrets did they hold about trade, diplomacy, and faith that allowed them to flourish for over 600 years, only to fade almost entirely from memory? Join us now as we navigate the currents of time to rediscover Southeast Asia's forgotten maritime empire. Our journey begins in the sweltering, fertile heart of Sumatra, an island steeped in ancient maritime traditions. Here, amidst the intricate network of rivers and coastal deltas, a confederation of indigenous polities began to coalesce, eventually forming the nucleus of the Srivijayan Empire around the 7th century CE. Their precise origins are still debated by historians, shrouded in the mists of time and linguistic nuances. However, evidence points to the region around Palembang, strategically located on the Musi River, as the vital center from which their power would gradually extend. Unlike land-based empires, Srivijaya's strength lay in its unparalleled mastery of the sea. Their engineers and shipwrights built vessels capable of withstanding the challenging currents and monsoons of the archipelago, from swift war canoes to massive trading jongs. This naval prowess allowed them not just to defend their coasts, but to project power across vast distances. They established networks of control over strategic choke points, ensuring safe passage for their own vessels and exerting authority over those who dared to sail without their permission. The growth of Srivijaya was driven by a magnetic draw. Its strategic location meant that anyone wishing to trade between the mighty empires of China and India had to pass through its waters, making it an indispensable intermediary. This central role fostered a vibrant, multicultural environment. Arab, Indian, and Chinese traders settled in Srivijayan ports, bringing their goods, languages, and cultures, further enriching the tapestry of the rising maritime power. At the very heart of Srivijaya's power lay the Strait of Malacca, a narrow ribbon of water separating Sumatra from the Malay Peninsula. This was, and still is, one of the most vital shipping lanes in the world, the indispensable artery connecting east and west. By controlling this choke point, Srivijaya exerted immense influence. Ships passing through paid tolls, sought protection from pirates, often Srivijayan allies themselves, and engaged in lucrative exchanges at Srivijayan ports. The wealth generated by this control was astronomical. Srivijaya became the world's primary distributor of coveted spices like cloves, nutmeg, and mace from the Moluccas, as well as the prized camphor and benzoin from Sumatra itself. From China came silk and ceramics, from India, textiles and finished goods, from the Middle East, perfumes and horses. Srivijaya collected, processed, and redistributed these goods, accumulating immense wealth that fueled its growth and artistic endeavors. Srivijaya's golden grip on the trade routes was only one facet of its brilliance. It was also a spiritual powerhouse, a beacon of enlightenment that drew scholars and pilgrims from across the vast Buddhist world. If this quiet journey through history has captured your curiosity, I invite you to consider subscribing to the Dusty Codex. Your support allows us to continue unearthing these forgotten narratives. Before we delve into the heart of their faith, I'm interested to know, if you could trade one item with ancient Srivijaya, what would it be? Share your thoughts in the quiet comments section below. Beyond its economic might, Srivijaya became a pivotal center of Mahayana Buddhist learning, rivaling even Nalanda in India. Monks and scholars from across Asia converged on its monasteries, seeking knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. Chinese pilgrim Yijing, in the late 7th century, famously advised fellow monks to spend a year or two in Srivijaya to study Sanskrit grammar and Buddhist philosophy before proceeding to India. It was a crucial intellectual waypoint. Srivijaya's devotion to Buddhism was manifest in its magnificent sacred art and architecture. While many of its monumental structures have been lost to time and the elements, archaeological discoveries reveal a sophisticated artistic tradition. Bronze Buddha and Bodhisattva statues, known for their elegant forms and serene expressions, have been found across the region, a testament to the skill of Srivijayan artisans and the widespread influence of their religious art. Srivijaya's role as a Buddhist hub further strengthened its international connections. It was a place where different cultures converged not just for trade, but for shared spiritual pursuits, creating a truly cosmopolitan religious landscape. This profound spiritual legacy shaped not only the religious practices of Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula, but also contributed significantly to the spread of Buddhism throughout the broader Southeast Asian archipelago. Srivijaya's empire was not a territorial one in the traditional sense, but a thalassocracy, a sea-based power that exerted influence through strategic alliances, control of trade, and cultural prestige rather than outright conquest. Its reach extended across Sumatra, the Malay Peninsula, parts of Borneo, and even into coastal areas of the Philippines. Local rulers often acknowledged Srivijayan overlordship, ensuring trade benefits and protection. Beyond political and economic influence, Srivijaya acted as a conduit for culture. Indianized concepts of kingship, administrative practices, and art styles flowed through Srivijaya, enriching the diverse cultures of the archipelago. The Malay language, in particular, gained prominence as a lingua franca for trade across the vast Nusantara, an enduring linguistic legacy. Even the stories and epics of India and Java, like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, were transmitted through Srivijayan influence. Like the tides they mastered, Srivijaya's power was not immune to change. From the 11th century onwards, new regional powers began to rise, challenging its dominance. The powerful Chola dynasty from South India, in particular, launched a series of devastating naval raids, changing trade routes, the emergence of other competing port cities, and possibly internal conflicts gradually eroded Srivijaya's control. Its vital stranglehold on the Strait of Malacca began to loosen, and its revenue dwindled. By the 13th century, Srivijaya had largely faded from its position as the preeminent power. Its capital shifted, its influence fragmented, and new, more centralized kingdoms like Majapahit emerged to dominate the archipelago. Yet, its spirit endured. Srivijaya's innovations in maritime trade, its role as a cultural and religious bridge, and its foundational influence on the language and identity of the Malay world, continued to shape the region for centuries. The story of Srivijaya reminds us that not all empires leave behind stone monuments. Some leave their mark on the very currents of history.